All right, today we've got Ethan Cavello out of Syracuse, New York, and we're going to talk about how he got started in real estate, how he kind of climbed the ladder from working with a major box store educational company called Fortune Builders, and then evolved into owning his own huge real estate business where they do wholesaling and rehabbing and all sorts of stuff. So, Ethan, how you doing today?
Good, good, Rick. I appreciate you inviting me on. We've been back and forth on trying to get, scheduled. So I'm happy that we're finally here.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time and just in the short, brief time we've connected, you've made a major impact in my business, and I hope that I can help you in some other way. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Your name's Ethan. You're out of New York. What do you do in New York?
Yeah, so it's my wife and I. We run a real estate redevelopment company. So we rehab a lot. We bring in a lot of leads. Through those leads, we either rehab and flip or keep as rental properties, or we wholesale them. And then we also have our agent leg of our business too. So my wife is a real estate agent. We have a real estate team of agents as well. So those are the three main things that we do with our business, and we've been doing that for about 6 years now.
That's awesome, man. 6 years. So your wife, did you guys team up from day one? I mean, you guys started together?
Yeah, so technically it's been like 8 years for me. The first two and a half, it was just myself. But yeah, my wife and I have teamed up since we have been together. So that's roughly around 5.5, 6 years.
Really? That's awesome, man. It's good to have a family-owned business. We have that in common. I think that nowadays a lot of people are talking, big, huge teams, 20 different employees, and all this good stuff. And I think that it's a lot more fun and rewarding to have a small family-owned business. That's pretty cool.
For sure, it definitely feels good when my wife accomplishes something and it benefits all of us in the business and the family. It's definitely a great feeling.
That's awesome. You guys got kids?
Not yet, not yet.
No?
Hopefully soon.
Cool, man. Well, good luck on that.
Yeah.
Hope it goes well. It's a major part. How old are you?
31.
Oh my gosh, man. 8 years you've been doing this. I didn't even learn about real estate till I was 30. Good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you. Speaking of that, how did you get started? What took you to tell me about the journey on how you got involved in real estate?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a long story, so I'll keep it as short and condensed as possible so everyone gets
Yeah.
the message. But um, a good friend of mine that I started a network marketing company with. We learned personal development through there. We didn't make any money, but it definitely changed my mindset, changed my life. He moved out to San Diego and joined what you mentioned, Fortune Builders, basically the premier real estate education company at the time. And he just said, "Hey, come out to San Diego and come work for this company." And I didn't even bat an eye. I just said, "Okay." So drove out with my Honda Civic, no money, and I interviewed with the company. I first was with a CRM company, Real Flow at the
Yep.
time. That's
Yep.
where I worked, and then I moved my way up to like the sales division, selling. So I learned a lot about sales, a lot about leadership. Funny enough, it's a real estate education company, but for the people who worked there, the biggest skills that you learned were sales and leadership, which, in my opinion, are much more important in your success in business or in life than real estate knowledge is.
Yep.
So I kind of, and I didn't see it that way at first, but it grew into that. And from there, I worked for a company that's similar to mine, but they are really big company, and I was their acquisition guy, their main guy, and I trained their acquisition manager. So basically, we were just answering the phones, calling sellers, and getting them under contract at a discounted rate, right? Um, and then, took that knowledge from there. I was only there for about 6 to 8 months, and then just started my own thing in my hometown of Syracuse, New York. And that's kind of how I got my start. I kind of, not necessarily fell into my lap. I know, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? So, but there was a stroke of luck involved in it to like kind of just fall into that manner. So, but that's how I got there and got here.
That's good. You have commonality with a lot of people, man. And I'll tell you, especially at your age, the amount of people I can name just off the top of my head that got their start through Fortune Builders.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, Than created the machine. Now there's so many people that want to mimic that and do that. that he, I mean, there's so many successful agents, investors, leadership, just so many different arms that were created out of that whole circle. It's pretty impressive, man. So yeah, you were connected to the right people and learned from people at a very high level. So I commend you on that, man. Good for you.
Yes, yes, I appreciate it. Um, 1 second, Rick. I got an appliance company calling me actually right
Take
now.
take it.
Yes. Live? You want me to take it live?
Take
Hello?
it. Bro. Why not? Hey,
Hi. Hi. Just just the fridge, the gas stove, and then the dryer. Yeah, the dryer. Yep. Oh, yeah, yeah. So dryer vent, the three-prong cord, and then the gas line too for the stove. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
there's no
I
reason.
knew that call was coming in. I didn't know when it was going to come though.
It's all good, man.
Um,
People see the
yeah.
reality. People want to do real estate investing. Here it is. You got to
I
talk to
and
a clients guy every once in a while.
Right. It's just very random. I'll just touch on that real quick. But I used to buy everything through Home Depot. I still buy most of my stuff through Home Depot, but Home Depot doesn't keep appliances in stock. It has to be delivered, and through multiple deliveries, I found that their delivery team is a third party, and it just doesn't go as well as it's supposed to. And I actually spend more time having to fix Home Depot delivery appliances than I do having to like take calls from a mom and pop appliance store here. So that's a scratch and dent place, and they're like 70% of what they are new, and they basically are new, just with little tiny scratch and dents. So my crew was there going to pick it up, and they just wanted to verify a couple things before they let them pick them up. So that's why I had to answer that call.
No, there's no worries, man. I'll tell you what, though, it sounds like that's the common thing. We deal with Home Depot too. I don't deal with them for appliances, but we deal with them for everything else, get our main
Yeah.
construction stuff delivered. And I'll tell you what, buddy, since March 16th of 2020, the delivery has been an absolute shit show.
Oh yeah, I can't agree anymore, man. Like,
Every single order, man. So yeah, that's I think that's a company-wide thing. And unfortunately, they were talking about not to be stereotypical or anything, but they're just talking about the people they couldn't get no butts in the seats to deliver parts. So they just
right?
had to hire whoever had a heartbeat to be able to keep their business moving forward. Good. So that's not just in Toledo, huh? It's in New York as well.
Yeah,
So tell
probably
me
everywhere, man.
when you got rolling. So, I know that in FB the transition was always you learn your marketing, your team building, your wholesaling, yada yada. What did you kind of go that path? Did you start off wholesaling, or like what avenue did you take in building your business? How'd you get like from point A to Z?
So looking back on it, I probably should have honed in a little bit more on like what my objective and goal was. Um, it was to wholesale, right? Because that's what I had experience with the other company being acquisition manager. But basically, my intention was I just want to get a deal,
Yep.
right? I just want to get a deal. And for anyone listening out there who maybe hasn't got your first deal, it's better to focus on a type of deal when you're getting in than just focusing on getting a deal, because then you're just going to waste time looking at stuff that's not a deal anyway. But yeah, the way I started out, cold calling, and I was doing it myself, and we got a deal in an area that's about 45 minutes away from my home market. And I said, whatever, I'll take it down. The numbers work. It ended up being rehab, not a wholesale, and we barely made any money on it. But it was a great experience overall. But yeah, that's how I approached the business. Was I cold called myself, said I just want a deal, didn't specify what type of deal, and then the first thing that I saw where the numbers looked okay, I just said, okay, I'm just going to pull the trigger.
Yep. Yep. So did you end up? When did you get to the point where you started building private money and stuff for new rehabs and things like that?
Oh, um, it probably wasn't until like my second year where I started raising private money. I was using a hard money lender, and they were great. Not as good as private money, but I think fear held me back. At the time, I was pretty young. I don't even know, like 25 at the time. And I was, I had a limiting belief that I was too young to raise money from someone. And, typically the people who have the money for private money are, typically older, right? And that's what held me back. And then I finally got in touch with someone through posting on Facebook an opportunity, and they gave me a chance. It was their first time lending, and they're actually one of my biggest lenders now. So we have about like $600,000 of this person's money in circulation on our deals at all times.
Nice. What are your
Yeah.
average price points out there in Syracuse?
So if it's like a city area, it's anywhere from, you want purchase and rehab numbers?
Yeah, I'm just curious about the price points where you're at. Yeah.
Okay, so our median home price in our county, so it's Onondaga County, that's where Syracuse is, has shot up $100,000 since 2020. So our median home price is like right around 250 now. So in the suburb areas that we are buying in, we typically purchase and rehab are into them from anywhere like from 130 to 180, right?
Okay.
Our city ones were anywhere purchase and rehab from like 80,000 to like 130.
Yep.
Give or take.
It sounds like a lot like where we're at in Toledo. It sounds like the same type of price point. Our median price point's only like 190, but it sounds like that's one thing that we've been really driving home, and a lot of the content I've been putting out. So I've been seeing a lot of people losing their shirts recently, right, in different parts of the country, right, for two reasons. One, buying off ego of trying to do the bigger luxury, all this and that, or the second thing is buying off appreciation, because everything was growing so fast. People are buying off of what they think it might be worth in 6 months rather than what it would be worth today if it was rehabbed. And I see that causing a lot of people grief. So what have you done to maintain your business? I know we've all had ups and downs in real estate, but what have you done just to maintain the consistency through all this stuff that we've gone through over the past 4 years?
So I try to stay liquid in a sense, like, how I maintain the answer to that question is, one thing I learned through Fortune Builders was business is an asset class, right? So I see a lot of real estate investors or people getting into real estate, or even people that have been in real estate for a long time, think as real estate is an asset class, but business isn't. So they focus on only acquiring rentals, right? And if you're not bringing in liquidity into your business, right, you're going to suffer. You have to get injections of liquidity. And I focus on liquidity very heavily in the first 2 years. We only bought like a couple rental properties. I no longer own those. I liquidated out of those. And then the last 2 years, we focused a lot more on rental properties. But I always make sure that I am more than liquid to continue to be in a position where I can continue to scale my business. Because at the end of the day, and you probably will agree, Rick, is the business that we run, all it is a big system to bring in properties. That's it. And if you aren't feeding that system, you're not going to get these good rental properties anyway. So sometimes I have to sell these things that could be good rental properties because I need to continue to build and keep that marketing system afloat so that I can continue to get rentals. And a good example of that is right now, our market's doing really, really well. And part of that is because we have Micron coming in. It's a manufacturing semiconductor chip plant. And it's the biggest manufacturing plant for that company, and it's being built in basically our backyard. So
Nice.
a lot of speculation has been happening with it, things like that. And obviously inventory shortage. So prices have just been going up, and that's for everyone. I have a property right now that I should be keeping, but I know I can probably sell it for 230. We cash flow like 500 net a month after everything. That doesn't include vacancy and repairs in the future.
Right.
And we would have 25% equity into it. So that's great. And, if you acquire 50 of those, like, you will 100% be a millionaire, multimillionaire in the future, right? So, but I don't see the market appreciating too much more in our market. And if it did, like, let's say 5-10%, that's not moving the needle very much for me. So we're actually selling it. I was going to keep it, but we're selling it now because the liquidity that we're going to get from it will make us more money by doing more marketing, getting more deals than keeping it long term.
Funny you say that, man, because there's a lot of people, we think alike. Our businesses are damn near identical. And I think it's where we learned, you know what I mean? I think it's where we learned. You're absolutely correct. The active income versus the passive. There's so many people nowadays that I don't know where they even get started in this because it doesn't resonate with me, but the way to get started into real estate is buy a rental property. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand that. I mean, that's, you know, so the way that you learn to build up your active income and your the business side of things to keep everything else rolling. I think that's the only way that I really know how to do it. Personally, I've never even used a hard money lender before. Once they taught us how to go raise private money, that's just been like the daily activity, you know, every day. What's two things you're always trying to do? Find deals and find money, right? That was the pitching stage. That's how we taught it from a stage. I think that's awesome, man, because there's a lot of people that don't invest in the education. No matter who you're getting the education from, I don't care. If you're into, if you resonate with somebody and you feel like you could vibe with them, do it. But a lot of people try to figure this stuff out on their own. You know, what would you tell somebody right now that's watching this or listening to this on one of the clips on the reels or whatever, that's really interested in real estate? They want to get involved, but they don't want to invest any money to learn from somebody. What would you say to that person?
So that's a good question. I guess I would layer it into two different things. Is one, and I've explained this to people because, and you probably experience it too, since my business has grown and I've started to make videos on social media, I get a lot of people reaching out, asking me for advice on a lot of different things now. And one thing I'm always very adamant about is I tell people that they should just attach themselves to somebody who's already doing what they want to do and bring massive value to that person in exchange for money. So working for that person, right? People are like, oh, I don't want to work for someone, whatever. And it's, you know, that's the best way to learn. If you're not going to invest in education, invest your time, right? And the reason I say that is because you and I were just talking about wholesaling prior to recording, and you know what your average in your market is and things like that. Let's say six figures is a number thrown around a lot. People want to make six figures, whatever. Let's say that your average wholesale in your market is 10,000, right? You need to do 10 wholesales in order to make six figures. Finding 10 deals that can make 10,000 as a wholesale is not easy.
No.
Like plain and simple. Like you need to know what you're doing in order to accomplish that. You can maybe stumble your way into a couple, but to do 10 in your first year is not, it doesn't happen very often. You and I both know a ton of people doing this business. I don't know many who did that many in their first year. So
honest about
it. Exactly. Yeah. Or they're lying. Exactly. So the reason I say that is because if you can bring a lot of value to someone doing this business, there's probably a higher likelihood that you can make six figures doing that than you can doing 10 wholesales. And making that six figures, helping someone doing the business, will teach you faster than trying to do 10 wholesales by yourself. Not to discourage people from starting the business and approaching it. It's just that if you're not going to invest into education to help you, you have to invest your time, plain and simple. And I just don't, I'm not a firm believer in just like bootstrapping this business. It's not really a business you can like solely bootstrap. Maybe in the past, like in like 15 years ago or something, you could be driving for dollars and stuff. But the way technology is now, you're just not going to compete with the people already doing it.
The only way that I agree with you 100%. The only way that I think, and just this is just my opinion because this is the way we got started, that you could literally fumble your way through this business and figure it out the hard way is if you come from a construction background. When we started, it was read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Didn't know anything about anything, but the one nugget we took away from that book was we had no money with anything. But my partner and I we had houses, so we learned really quick equity line of credit. right?
Yeah.
So when we did our first deal, we both had about 50 grand, maybe 60 in our houses. We're both electricians. We took that 120 grand and went and bought a house in Michigan, renovated it, did all the work ourselves, which was an absolute shit show. And we didn't know anything else. We knew how to build buildings. So we was like, we're going to figure this out, right? So people are like, what do you mean you didn't get started with wholesaling? I did not even know what wholesaling was. We did our first deal in 2010. I didn't know what wholesaling was until I went to the first 3-day event for Fortune Builders in 2016. It was all rehabbing, right? And I'm like, wholesaling, that sounds like a great idea. But we didn't know how to market or anything. We bought everything off the MLS back then. That was been down. You could buy everything off the MLS back then. So I tell people that want to get started, it's based on what your experience. You might be a sales and marketing person, right? Wholesale, absolutely, because wholesaling to me is the sales and marketing business, right? So everybody's got kind of their own vibe on what they're good with. I think construction people, if you're a construction, you're a home builder, you're a carpenter, jump right in rehabbing because you see that stuff. You know what I mean? It's definitely a business that can be molded for anybody. How are you guys now that you're scaling and you understand the concept between being liquid, buying rentals, and all that? What's your long-term goal? Like I know you're only 31, but are you thinking about an exit? Are you thinking about just building capital for you and your family? Like, what are your goals?
So it's a great question. I struggle with long-term goals. Like I have a very broad understanding of what I want long-term,
Right.
but getting very granular on it is difficult in my opinion. And I had a mentor in Fortune Builders, actually, someone very, very high up, like 3 people down from Fan,
Yeah.
tell me that it's a lot better to plan out your next 5 years to plan out your next 15, right? And so I've used that approach ever since I talked to him about that. We went on a walk down San Diego Beach, and he told me that. I kind of drilled in my head. So I have an understanding of what I want long term, but it's mostly like lifestyle goals, family goals, things like that. Not really financial, other than like just like a number. And you and I both know, just like a number goal is kind of, it just doesn't do much. But in the next 5 years, though, I'd like to have 100+ units just through single family and duplexes, maybe triplexes and quads. They just don't come around very often for us. And then, or within 5 years. So that was my 5-year goal 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So in the next 3 years. And then build this business to be doing around 15 deals a month.
Okay.
And then have it automated. And then also start a different market as well where me and my wife can move to, because we don't want to stay here long term. So that's the goal. And then eventually I probably see myself getting into bigger multifamily, bigger commercial, just because it seems like that's the progression for most people who hit a certain threshold with single family and low end multifamily. So
That's awesome, man. I had quite a few of those conversations with leadership at Fortune Builders as well, and there's some sharp people there. There's our lead Conrad was our boss, I'd say, and the fulfillment side of things, and then it was Jeff behind that. So we used to get together and do our little masterminds twice a year and things like that. And some of those kind of conversations are life changing, man.
Oh yeah,
those kind of conversations are absolutely life changing. So, what's your team look like? So I know you said you're doing wholesaling, you're rehabbing. What's your team look like?
Yeah, so we have 3 virtual assistants on our team. We have a TC, like a transaction coordinator for people who don't know what that means. And then 1 acquisition manager. Now, I used to have 2. We scaled down our outbound marketing, which allowed us to only have 1. But we're in the process of looking into like a follow-up manager instead, someone who can follow up with these old leads. And then I handle the lending portion, and then we have a project manager, but he's also one of my GCs, so it's something in the works right now. We might be transitioning into getting like a full-time project manager, but that's our team right now. It's a small team. I used to not like to answer those questions because I felt like I needed to like say my team was really big. But that's the benefit of this business, man, is you and I both know, like, you can do a lot of volume, you can make a lot of money, and you can acquire a lot of rentals without having a big team.
No, brother, you
Just
don't
plain and
need,
simple.
take it from an old man like me, dude. You don't need a, we have one VA, a project manager, a team of amazing subcontractors. My sister keeps us in the business. She handles all the books and property management, and my son's an agent and acquisitions guy. It's just a family.
Nice.
And it's just the you. So you learn from the past, man. Lifestyle by design, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly. And yeah, I actually we have a bookkeeper, but they're not on payroll. So I know you mentioned bookkeeping, but they're not. We have a lot of people who aren't on payroll that work on our team. So
How's that work for you in your outsourced bookkeeping? You like that?
no,
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 I get
no.
anxiety. Man. I get anxiety from things like that because I don't know. I just don't know if I have the full trust.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where I need to, and I've been, not to segue, but we're doing too much volume now for me to like be like fly by night on that kind of stuff.
Right.
So um, I found, and I was a lot of real estate investors, you probably know this too, are cheap, right? Like super cheap, and it's because we want to maximize on returns, things like that. When it comes to the business side of things, I've learned not to be cheap,
Yep.
and I am in the process of trying to find another bookkeeper, but I'm going to find someone who's premium. Like I'm okay spending like more than what most people would tell me I should, because I know that's going to attract the person
Yep.
who actually wants to work with me. Because I've found contractors, bookkeepers, attorneys, title companies, they all think real estate or investors are cheap. And if you let it be known that you're not, they will prioritize you over everyone.
Yep.
So that's kind of what my approach is on like finding third party people for my business.
I worked with a guy, a friend of mine from here in town. His name is Paul. He's just straight buy and hold guy. He's got like, I think last week he said he's at 697 units or something. And
Wow.
he runs it all from St. Petersburg, Florida, here in town. He runs it with two handymen, one of those platforms. We use Buildium for ours, but he used more of a rental platform on steroids. And then a lady that shows all of his units. He runs the whole thing, almost 700 units, 17 apartment complexes, with 5 people. And what he taught me was to, number one, your more expensive accountant is going to save you 4 times more than what you think they're losing. Right, your bookkeeping. That was one of the main takeaways I took because he started with one back in 08, right? And he taught me the one you might think, holy shit, my accountant's costing me this, my bookkeeper's costing me this, but the money you're going to save from having a professional is going to pass that up, not even comparison.
Yeah.
We're actually doing that right now as we speak too. Good for you, man. Good
Thank
for
you,
you.
man.
So I know that we've been on here a little bit. I want to touch on a couple more topics if you got the time. I know that a lot of people listen to this and everybody has the main question: where are you finding your deals? Can you share with us? I know that you helped me out a lot in the marketing aspect. Can you share with us what the marketing looks like from the, I don't want to say cheap, from the more value spend marketing all the way up to the big dollar stuff?
Yeah. So our okay, so our paid marketing, we have paid marketing, then unpaid marketing like referrals, and I'll touch on the referrals here in a second because it actually became a good aspect of our business, and I didn't value it at first. Um, but for paid marketing, the main sources for us, there's three, and then we have a couple other like smaller things are TV, commercials, PPC, and then direct mail. So those are our three main ones. We used to do a lot of cold calling and text messaging.
Okay.
We don't do it anymore. We've explored the option of bringing it back, just cold calling. But every time I do that, I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that. It requires another acquisition person, whatever. So those are our three main marketing sources. We're exploring Facebook ads as well, and then also we toy around with PPL, which is pay per lead. So I'll go into those real quick. So PPL, just start with that. These are companies that they do PPC, Facebook ads, things like that nationwide. And whenever somebody fills in information on their website, you have the option to buy that lead, right? So This marketing strategy can be very expensive because they're going to be lower quality leads. But they're about like $125 or $200 in my market per lead.
Okay.
And we get a couple deals off of them, but I only am signed up to the ones that will send you the lead, and then you can choose to buy it. And fun little tip on that is they won't show you the full address, but it'll show you like pieces of it. Well, we have a website for our county, and I can kind of like piece together what the lead is to see what type of area, like the house or when they bought it, things like that. So I cherry pick the ones we buy or to the leads, and I wouldn't recommend cherry picking, but it's worked out for us.
Sure.
So our three main sources: direct mail. So we send out postcards and written letters. We also send out ones that show what like your offer on a check. It's called like a check mailer. That's the big thing nowadays.
Heard about those. I get them.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah. So they're good, but we get a lot of like angry calls on them. So, but they do well. But our main sources are PPC and TV. PPC is pay per click, which is Google Ads. Those have been, as I was telling Rick prior to recording, have been really good for us. We're probably going to dial up our spend on it. I
Okay.
would say maybe next quarter, some point, once we review our numbers fully and our KPIs. And then TV, which has been a staple for ours or for us for years, has really been a game changer. And we've been consistent with that. Haven't changed anything. Haven't lowered. Haven't risen the budget on that. But those are the paid marketing ones, and most of those strategies I shared can be pricey, right? So um, the ones we don't pay for are referral based, and this has been for the last 2 years a big portion. Well, not big as far as like piece of pie, but a huge help to our business is one, TV credibility helped out a lot with referrals, but two is being somebody who stays true to their word and is integral has helped a ton. So we get pocket listings every once in a while, and then we get attorney referrals because New York State's an attorney state. It's not a title state, so you close with attorneys. We've shown to give sellers credits for things, be flexible on closing costs, be able to deal with tough sellers who might be giving the attorneys tough times. We've been able to give advances, be able to give holdbacks to sellers. Basically, we've shown attorneys that we are not one of those buyers who tries to nickel and dime. We're actually buyers who try to do whatever to get the deal across the finish line. So they refer us stuff like estates that are being settled, things like that, because they know we're quick and easy and they don't want extra work on their plate. So they choose us because they know that we're not extra work for them. So that's been a huge part of our business. Like we probably get like 5 to like 8 deals a year, just only off referrals. We don't have to pay for any of that marketing. It's all, $0 acquisition costs for those types of deals.
That's awesome, man. So you're big on the local. I know a lot of people are doing this virtual stuff nowadays. You're big on the local presence too, so you can build relationships in your market.
Yeah, I enjoy local also because I just like I love where I came from, right? Like I want to grow my community. Um, the virtual stuff, like there's no human connection with that kind of stuff. I like to see it, like that's probably going to be my downfall in the future instead of being like, 100 million plus type of person, which, I always thought I like needed to be, right? Is I'd rather be boots on the ground. Like I do want to go to a property every once in a while. I know all these gurus and everything, like I don't see the properties and we make, blah blah blah. And that's cool. And I probably could do that to an extent, but I like going to the properties every once in a while and talking to the contractors, like because those guys are the like salt of the earth type of people. And it grounds me, I don't want to be some ivory tower person, so yeah, I love local market. I prefer it, to be honest.
Yeah, we're a lot of like that too, and that was one of the reasons why. One thing I wanted to share with Ethan is the one that connected the TV thing that he mentioned. if anybody wants more information on that, reach out to one of us. We'll give it to you. But that, when he talks about credibility, local, I as well am I'm a big person on local. I've done one deal virtual. It was in Indianapolis, and we lost $250,000.
Wow.
And yep, it was in 2017. We partnered up with a gentleman that we thought was somebody else. Long story short, only deal we've ever done, not in our own backyard. Only deal we've ever done that I didn't see it when we bought it, and for 14 years, and we lost our shirts on it, man. And that makes you a better investor when you take a hit like that, though. But I'm like you, man. I like to go out and see the guys and talk to the people. And I don't think, between my son and I don't think we've ever bought a house that we weren't sitting belly to belly with the seller at some point along the way. Now, I mean, we only do 20 rehabs a year, and along with the other deals, maybe that's a difference. But the personal branding thing, man, is such an important thing in a local market. And you're right. When people find out that you're genuinely trying to improve your town, it seems like as you get going along, especially you're 31 years old, by the time you're 40, you're going to be, I mean, people aren't going to think twice. You're going to be you're the guy. If somebody wants to sell a house that has a foundation issue, they're going to call Ethan,
Right. Yeah. And
I believe in that too, man.
and even just for help, like we offer putting their house on the market too with my wife. Really our core value for our company, and I always stress this to my acquisition manager, John is his name, is to focus on the person, not the house, and focus on helping them. Like, if we aren't their best option, I tell them all the time, I don't want you just to end the conversation. Like, you're never going to get any deals if you can't spend 5 minutes giving advice to someone who, if you already know it's not going to be a deal and you still spend 5 minutes helping out that person, that's going to go so much further than you actually think. Because if you can't be that person, you won't get the deals.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like our core value for us, is like integrity, is, making sure to help someone no matter what.
Yeah, and when you do right by somebody, that will come back to you. I mean, I don't care what people's beliefs are, religious or whatever people believe. I'm a religious guy, and I believe that if you do right by people, you put some positive stuff and do good stuff out to the world, it'll come back to you.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
That's one of the main things. You know what? Answer me this: how this works in your market? We sit down with people every day, usually, and the first thing they ask when they call into the call center or whatever is, "Are you guys local?" And we're like, yeah, we're right here on Secor Road, 5313, whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, okay, cool. I want to work with you. Because so many people are just like, nope, here's your number. Does it work or not? And they're just firing off numbers.
So funny you say that, because we're working on one. We'll know August 8th. So in 2 days, we had a seller call us. I can't remember if it was for TV, PPC, or direct mail. But anyway, they already got offers. It's a church that owns the property, and it's a board of members. It's like 4 of them, and they're going to meet on August 8th to decide whose offer they're going to pick. So they asked us if we were local. They really liked that. And right now, our offer is the second highest. And the first one is someone who never saw it, who's out in a different state. And the first thing they told us everyone else's offers, because they trusted us because we're local. They didn't tell the other people, what everyone else's offers were, because they weren't local and they didn't come out and see the property. And we beat out those people all the time. It's like, it's not even really a competition. We get people who out-of-state wholesalers backed out of a contract and they call us up. We get people who they're getting spam called from out-of-state investors, and they don't even care what we offer. They just literally only want to work with us. And we could take advantage of that and give them nothing, but we don't. But it just goes to show, like, belly to belly locally helps so much, because these out-of-state people are just absolutely killing credibility with sellers long term.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good nugget that people should take away. And I know that's the main thing people ask, is it because when COVID hit, the whole virtual thing just blasted off, and then everybody started selling that, which I get it. I understand. I get it. You got to stay in business somehow. We didn't. We stayed right in our own little pocket we kept doing business. We just put a mask on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of It's the only thing that really changed was you still did in-person appointments. You just took a mask with you, and that was kind of it.
Can I touch on that real quick? I want to finish what I'm saying. I'm not saying that virtual wholesaling, virtually doing this business is a bad thing. Um, it's just that it's the biggest operators I know, they do it virtually.
Yep.
They're doing like 300 deals a year, right? They're crushing it.
Yep.
There's a few select of those that actually hit those numbers and do it well. If you want to scale to that type of level of business, then you have to be virtual at some point, right? But most people don't want a 300 deal a year company, right? Or at least they want 300 deals. They don't want what comes with it, which I get that, right? I don't want what comes with it either. That's why I don't want to do that. In order to achieve your goals, the least path of resistance is definitely a local presence.
Yeah.
But if you want to scale to the high heavens, like you have to almost do virtual. You cannot only be local. That's almost a fact.
You're
so
right.
I just wanted to touch on that.
No, you're not wrong. It's funny you say that because our little Toledo market, Toledo itself has like 250,000, and then there's suburbs around it and stuff. But we started this texting platform a couple years ago, and with all the new regulations, it has you can't re-text the people. You have to like wipe it out, start a new entity, and start all over. So we learned the one pain point I would say about locally is when you're doing those types of marketing, eventually you've marketed to everybody, every address in the area. And then that's when you pivoted into the inbound marketing stuff, because
exactly
the outbound, they've seen your caller ID for 5 years in a row. They're kind of like over it,
Yep. Yeah. There's just not enough people. There's not enough pool of people, and that's why these bigger operators are in like 4 or 5 different markets. So, in order to scale to that rate, you have to be virtual. So,
right.
I'd rather go into something bigger than
I would.
that.
I'd rather do less deals and make more money. That's always kind of been the model. What would you share to anybody as we start wrapping this? Number one, I give you credit. I see that it wasn't actually the funnest thing for you at first, but you've been doing a great job of putting your social media out there, man.
I appreciate that. I need to get back on it. I've been slacking. I have like 70 videos archived that I need to post. The posting part is the hard part. I need to get someone on like a social media manager to do that. So, but yeah, I appreciate that.
I could help you. Do you use Meta and Instagram and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Say if you don't, let me know. I'll show you how we've systemized all that. So every morning it all gets scheduled, and if you need help, it's not. It's a thorn in my side too.
For sure.
But what would you say as we wrap this up? How would you, two people? The first person is the one just getting started in real estate that really wants to be some belief in themselves. They want to get rolling. They don't know how to get started, and they don't know how to surround themselves with the people that'll help them get started. What would you say to that person?
So if I were to look back on myself, like my younger self, and if I cross paths and they asked a question like that to me, is I would say number one, go to a live event where you're going to learn stuff, right? And most likely, if you go to a live event, I'm just going to be honest with you, they're probably going to try to sell you something, but there's nothing wrong with that. The people who do live events have to give you information in order for you to feel compelled to buy anyway. So you're going to gain a lot of information. But the big reason you want to go to a live event is because there's going to be people who are successful in the manner that you want to be in the business. And, similar to my point previously, is attached to those people. I was afraid to talk to people who were doing the business well when I was a newbie, because I felt like I'm not good enough to talk to them, right? Which is like a horrible thing to think of. The way that you become good enough to talk to, right? Because if a newbie came up to me, I'd give them my time because I believe in that, right? But only so much, because I also believe in not just wasting my time. Yeah. So how do you not waste your time talking to someone similar to myself or someone bigger? is you let them know, and this is straight out of the book Think and Grow Rich, right? Is you offer your services for free. It doesn't need to be 40 hours, right? But you can ask them, how can I bring value to your business for 2 to 3 hours a day or 10 hours a week, whatever it is that you have, and I will do it for free. But I'm more skilled than what you can find in the VA or this or that. Like, I will do it for free, right? If someone came up to me at an event and did that, I 100% would say, give me your number and I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Right now, I wouldn't commit to do like working with them and giving them stuff to do for free. But the fact that someone would have the confidence to come up to me and say that, like, I'd be like, sure, right? And I'd eventually give them stuff to do, and you're going to learn a whole lot doing that. And I know you're offering your services for free, but I promise you, like, attaching yourself to somebody who's already doing it is the best way to learn in this business.
That's awesome. That's a really good nugget, man. Thank you for sharing that. And there's a lot of people that that definitely need to hear that, because a lot of times when we first get involved in this whole entrepreneurial thing, you're coming from something that isn't entrepreneurial, and they don't realize that our biggest skill set is just talking to people.
For sure.
Talking to people.
Yeah. True.
Last one. So, because you have so much experience and you've been connected to some very high level entrepreneurs as a whole, what would you tell the person that's maybe a little older than you that has been doing deals, and they want to go from I'll just use monetary, right? They want to go from a 6-figure a year business. They want to up it now. They want to start building a portfolio of. They want to get 20 units. They want to do, say $1 million a year. They want to evolve into what I call a full-fledged real estate investor, rather than just wholesaling some deals or maybe doing a rehab every now and again. What would you say to that person that really wants to turn their real estate investing hobby into a business?
Good. It's a really good question. So, I guess two different things come to mind. So we are at around 50 units that we own, and that's all single family and duplexes. So we own a decent amount for rental properties. So I kind of have been there not too long ago, where it was kind of like a hobby and we grew it, right? And then two different things come to mind for that. One is bottleneck. Like, what is the bottleneck holding you back for that? The biggest way to scale is by increasing your marketing. If you have more leads coming in, there's probably more deals that can come in as well. And more deals means more money. Even if your back end fulfillment is horrible, if you're getting more deals, then you're getting closer to it not being just a hobby. I will say, though, is that you want to make sure your fulfillment on the back end is good. But marketing is typically the way that you scale, like plain and simple. And then how you automate and keep that scalability from, not just plummeting, is through hiring and outsourcing, right? So I would say increasing the marketing, because if you're steadily doing the same amount of deals, it's either a choice or you're not doing enough marketing. That's plain and simple. A lot of people don't. I talk to a lot of people, they don't understand marketing. It's very interesting. Like, people need to know you're in business or you're never going to get deals. Like, you just need to find ways to tell people you buy houses, and they need to be people that want to sell their house, right? So that's number one. And then number two, I'll keep it kind of short, is invest into your education. It doesn't matter how it is. You can go the YouTube route and the reading books route and the podcast route. I still do that. I've done that from the beginning. But for example, we're going to do like 80-ish to 90-ish deals this year. I don't know how much we're going to do in the last quarter of the year, but I just invested a couple months back $25,000 to be part of a mastermind of like 10 people, led by someone who is very successful doing an aspect of this business. And I didn't bat an eye, right? Like, I was just ready to go on it. And that's not because $25,000 is nothing to me. Like, $25,000 is a lot of money. It's because I knew that that's going to make me so much more money than 25,000, so much more. So it doesn't matter if you whatever amount of money you have, there's ways to invest into your education to learn more, and you have to do that. Like you have to. Local meetups, live events, webinars, YouTube videos, podcasts, books, local mentors, anything that you can go and learn more in. You just have to continually educate yourself. So I'd say like that would be the second one.
That's good stuff, man. Thank you very much for sharing that. Yeah, we're big mastermind people too, and sometimes not all masterminds are equal. So I'm glad you found one that is really gonna work for you. That's cool. You said it was a smaller one, right? 10 people.
Yeah. So good point. Don't just invest into a mastermind. Like definitely look into the people, because there's a lot of snake oil salesmen out there in this industry for sure. This one is very, very honest about everything. Like they don't try to pretend like they're someone they're not. And the point of it is not to like promise a lot of things. It's really to like get all the stuff that's not helping you grow out there to people who are in the same or better positions than you, so
Yeah.
that they can analyze the information that's holding your business back, instead of like people who know nothing about business analyzing the information that's holding your business back.
It's almost like entrepreneurial therapy, dude. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's a good way to put it. It actually really is that.
It is.
That's funny. I didn't even think of it that way. That is.
Talk about it to our group all the time about how, you and I can talk about doing a deal and making 50 grand, right? No big deal. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody cares. But you can't just go sit down at the coffee shop and talk with the chick sitting next to you and be excited about a deal you just did and made 50 grand. They don't, you just can't have those conversations. It's not, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent, doesn't matter. But putting yourself in those types of rooms with people that understand it, that's an important thing. I'm glad you got that. I'm glad you mentioned that, because your surroundings matter so much no matter what you're doing in this business.
They
Cool.
matter a lot, just like fortune builders, like you mentioned. Just being around people who can make an impact on you, leadership wise or entrepreneurial wise, is crucial.
All it takes is one conversation with the right person at the right time, and it can catapult you. I don't know how many times we sat in that office out in what was it, Bunker Hill, and you just listen for the nugget, man. When you're around there, you're like, listen, where's it coming from? Somebody's going to say something that's going to impact me. I'm going to leave here a changed man. That's just the way it was, especially at my age, So cool, man. Well, good stuff. I appreciate having you on. I appreciate all the good conversation, man. And congratulations to everything you're doing, man. Like I said, I didn't even learn about the word real estate until I was 30 years old. So you're so far ahead of so many people. And I think it's really cool to watch what you're building. And I definitely appreciate the recommendation of the commercials last winter. And if there's anything I can do to help you, man, don't hesitate and keep crushing the social media game.
Definitely. I appreciate you inviting me on, Rick. Seriously, I don't make an effort to put myself out there on like podcasts and stuff, because I think you and I are similar when it comes to like the gurus and things like that. Like I just don't, like, I'm just not that type of person. So, but it feels good to be able to like give information, help out people. So I appreciate the invite.
Jeff had mentioned something to me that really helped, because I was the anti-guru for a long time. I thought all there was fortune builders, right? It was like you just fully, I didn't even know anything else. But Jeff told me one time when COVID hit, and we still had fortune builders when COVID hit.
Very, very limited part. I was with the travel team, and I only traveled once a month.
So were you on the call when Than had to do the call?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so you were on that call. That call, after that, our team leads and we all kind of stayed together. And I actually went and worked with Jeff Rakowski at his company for a little while. And he said I couldn't get out of the mindset of had a very difficult time of talking about myself, right? Putting out social media content. And he said when that changes, he said what happens is you don't really focus on making money, you focus on making an impact, right? So that makes it easier to put out social media content. Focus on just putting content out there that can help other people. And in turns, it'll attract deals, it'll attract all sorts of stuff to you. But also on the other end, you might have that guy that doesn't know how to find a wholesale deal that you just helped him, by sharing some information. So that made it a lot easier to put out useful information. And one of my coaches, Tom Kroll, said, just focus on being the generous expert and watch what happens to your business over the next 12 months. And he was right. So I hope that can do the same thing for you.
Yeah, I like that. Generous expert.
Be the generous expert. That gets you out of your own head of not liking to put social media content out there. Of whatever you're working on today, whatever. There's somebody out there that's never done that, and they're thinking, "Damn, this sucks," or they don't know how to do a scope of work, or whatever the case may be. 30-second reel, being a generous expert of something somebody can use, and over time, your business just grows exponentially.
For sure.
Yep.
Great advice.
So cool, man. If I can ever help you with anything, don't hesitate. Let me know, and keep crushing it out there.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Rick.
Brother, have a good day.
Thanks, man. You too.